Well, I don't think I've ever been so happy to be wrong in my life. After a 6-game series, the Vegas Golden Knights have knocked out the Edmonton Oilers 4-2. Going into this series, I 100% thought the Oilers were going to win this. Everything in my gut feeling said the Oilers are going to go to the Stanley Cup this year. This is their year, but Vegas said no.
No, I mean, they both teams played really, really hard, but in the end, the 5-on-5, the Oilers struggling on 5-on-5 was a big key to why they weren't able to win the series. And a lot of people are going to blame the goal starting Stuart Skinner in Game 5 and Game 6. But I think it goes deeper in that. I think the depth of the Oilers are not good enough compared to the Vegas Golden Knights. And people discount in Edmonton here, discount how good the Vegas Golden Knights are, including me.
Yeah, that was really unexpected. I mean, Vegas played such a good quality team game, especially like Hohen said, 5-on-5. One of my favorite things watching that series that they did that stood out compared to almost any other team that's played against the Oilers this year is how well they stacked the middle. They really had 4 guys in there just jamming it up at all times. There was not a lot of room to get good quality scoring chances. Most of the shots were coming from around the side of the net, sometimes from behind the net trying to get like a one-timer in front. But I mean, the middle was so clogged up that they couldn't really do a lot. And a lot of their players, not named McDavid and Draisaitl, really were struggling to score compared to last year in the playoffs where they had that really good run where Kane was chipping in, Nuge was chipping in. These guys were pretty quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this team, the Vegas Golden Knights, they remind me so much of the Carolina Hurricanes in a sense that they were playing a very good system game. Those defensemen in front of him, the way they were blocking the shots in front of the goalie, Aiden Hill, and the way they were clogging up the passing lanes, and the Oilers just couldn't complete good passes throughout the whole series, and it was very evident. It was very hard. It's very often that a player in the Oilers try to pass the puck, but it will never be tape to tape. It will be like kind of like, oh, it bounces off the stick and then goes somewhere else. But with the Vegas, the way they were, when they were passing the puck, they were more precise. They were more efficient in carrying the puck up the ice than the Oilers in this whole series. That's why their 5-on-5 were better.
Their cycling was absolutely insane. The way that they knew where each other were at all times was just absolutely insane. This team, they may have got outshot a lot of these games in this series, but it was the quality of opportunities they were getting that were really good. Sure, they maybe didn't have like 40 shots a game, but they were getting quality looks from good scoring opportunity places, unlike the Oilers who were getting like 40 shots, but they weren't getting like those shots from high danger chance areas. And one guy that absolutely stood out beyond everyone, and I mean, it's about time, Jack Eichel. The best I've seen Jack Eichel, I think, ever play. Even in his prime time in Buffalo where he was like really dominant, over a point per game. This Jack Eichel in this series was dominant start to finish. He really didn't have any bad games. This guy, whether it was defensively coming back and actually being responsible in his own zone, or just like good passes to his teammate, like Marchessault setting him up for that goal in the big Game 6. Marchessault with that beautiful hat trick too. But I mean, Eichel really drove that line.
Jack Eichel, I'm going to touch on Jack Eichel a little bit more. Jack Eichel has been incredible in this series and in this playoffs. In this specific series, he had 9 points. He had +9.
Yeah,
let that sink in real quick.
Player.
+9. McDavid had 10 points in this series, 0. +0. That just shows all the points most of the points that Jack Eichel was scoring were 5-on-5.
Yeah,
and it's a huge difference. Majority of the game is played on 5-on-5, and the Oilers were counting so much on the power play that they never got the calls. Eventually, they never got the calls. So next year, this team needs to learn how to play better 5-on-5. I feel like this team has been struggling scoring on 5-on-5 throughout the whole season, not just in the playoffs.
Yeah, I really like that in the Game 6 there, that the refs kind of put away the whistle and let these guys play. Because I think that's the way hockey should be played. I don't think you should be seeing 10 power plays a game, like 5 each or anything like that. I love those games where there's like 1 or 2 power plays, because that means you know that the team who plays best 5-on-5 deserves to win. And Vegas clearly was that team. For me, the Oilers really got to worry about some things, especially with depth scoring. Nuge, 100 points in the regular season, which is obviously insanely good. I mean, it put him in the top 10 in the entire league. But he really didn't show up in this playoffs, and he was pretty soft in this series.
I think, to be honest, I might get a lot of hate for this from the Oilers fans, but Nugent Hopkins, to me, is never a playoff hockey player. I think he's a very soft hockey player, and he never shows up in the playoffs, to be honest with you.
Like, he had some points last year during that run, but to be fair, everyone had points.
Like, I don't care that you got a 100-point season. Like, this is exactly what I told some people. I don't care what you have done in the regular season. In the playoffs, you roll with what is hot, what is playing good. And the fact that they started Stuart Skinner, I don't care he's the guy that got you in the playoffs in the first place. You got to start who is playing good, and that was Jack Campbell.
Yeah, no. And another guy on top of that, along with Nuge, because I'm not just going to pick on Nuge here. Evander Kane, last year in the playoffs, he was a game breaker. This guy was scoring at will. He was absolutely dominating. He was still very physical in this series against Vegas, so at least he was adding that physicality. I mean, we saw him in those fights, and he was like messing some guys up. But I mean, he didn't have his goal scoring touch, and that was key because this team struggled to score 5-on-5. And he's one of those guys that has to be relied on. We knew Zach Hyman was hurt. It was very obvious. I'm not going to beg on Zach Hyman too hard. The guy is a warrior, and I know he was playing hurt, so I'm not going to rip on him too much, but Evander Kane needed to do better.
He is terrible. Evander Kane in this series, 1 point in this whole series, 6 games. That's terrible.
It's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable at all. No. And I get that he had that injury, but at this point, if you're going to play top 6 minute, playing on the line with Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid, you better start scoring some points. I know he has been trying in that last game 6. He was throwing a lot of shots in that third period.
Yeah, he had a better effort.
And that's what you should be doing. I don't know why he didn't show this throughout the whole season earlier.
Yeah,
it's a pathetic effort by Evander Kane, I thought. And to be honest with you, not only by him, but I thought Jay Woodcroft had a pretty pathetic playoff run, to be honest with you. I think some of his decision making weren't good. The fact that Klim Kostin,
I would have been given him more ice time. I know he was hurt, but I would have given him more ice time throughout this series.
And then on top of that, you play that Cody Ceci pairing with Darnell Nurse has been horrific.
They should have split them up.
Those guys 100%. Are 2 pounds that Jack Eichel absolutely took advantage of.
You couldn't have had those guys on the same pair. You have to divide them up. I think there was a bunch of out-coachings by Bruce Cassidy here in this series for sure. I just want to commend one more time the Vegas defense as a core, all of them. I mean, it was a whole team effort. I mean, the forwards chipped in too. But between like Whitecloud and Haig stepping up as like a third pair, and then even when Pietrangelo was out, these guys all did so well defensively. And they did such a good job of shutting down Leon Draisaitl, who was the hottest player in the entire playoffs. After scoring 4 goals in game 1, this guy had like 1 point in his next 4 games.
Yeah, I want to touch on that.
That's crazy.
I want to touch on that because when that suspension happened, when Nurse got suspended for the Oilers side and Pietrangelo got suspended for the Vegas side for Game 5, it hurts the Oilers more because now we have to elevate guys like Broberg, a rookie,
and Desharnais
to play in these top 4 minutes, and those guys clearly couldn't handle it. With the other side, if they lose Pietrangelo, you got Whitecloud and Haig, who have proven to be very good. They can play anywhere from 17 minutes and to 25 minutes. They've been very good in the regular season.
And of course, Martinez,
McNabb, and then you have Shea Theodore. It's just way better of a defense core. The Oilers just could not compete with the depth.
Yeah, I think a big part of that was the 6 core of D-men for Vegas is just, they're all solid. There's no one you can pick as like a true weak spot. And the Oilers, obviously, you had the CC pairing, and then you also had Desharnais. There was kind of a lot of holes. If Ekholm wasn't on, it was pretty exposable.
I thought Ekholm wasn't very good in this series, to be honest with you. I thought he had some weird plays. He had some weird turnovers. He just wasn't himself. I actually thought the best defenseman in this series for the Oilers, unfortunately, is Brett Kulak. And he shouldn't be their best defenseman.
No, yeah, that's not ideal. But we're okay. Let's enough about ragging on all these Oilers. Where do you think they go from here? Because honestly, to me, I thought this was the year. This year felt like this team was coming into the playoffs hot at the right time. They seem to have all the scoring pieces in their top 6 to get it done. I mean, it's pretty stacked. And then obviously McDavid, Draisaitl in their prime. I just don't know. What else do they do from here? Because this was the year that it was the most wide open to probably get to the cup if they're ever going to have a chance.
I don't know. They got Bouchard that they need to sign. He's an RFA this season, so he has to. They have definitely.
That's a priority. Yeah.
That's definitely a priority. We'll see how much he gets paid. But I thought some of the players were underutilized, like Klim Kostin and Janmark, all these guys that I thought are pretty good hockey players, but they weren't getting enough minutes.
I'm pretty sure Klim Kostin became an Edmonton favorite in this playoff run. What he did as a two-way player and his physicality and just his timely goals.
Overplaying Yamamoto 15 minutes when he hasn't done anything all playoffs.
He literally had the one good game.
Against
the Kings in Game
6.
And
literally he disappeared after that, and you play this guy 15 minutes. I think that's a big problem here.
No, I think so too.
With the Oilers, in terms of fixing it, you got to roll with this same core again. You got to roll with it. I don't think that the difference between Toronto and Edmonton, I'll say right now, I feel like the Edmonton core players of specifically Draisaitl and McDavid, I can count on these guys to win one day. Versus the Toronto, I don't feel confident with their core. but they got built better things around those core players, in my opinion. With
Well, what didn't you
Edmonton
like
Oilers.
about this build? Because on paper and just result wise for the first round and for earlier, they look like they were pretty good.
They were, and they should. It's just Evander Kane absolutely disappeared, and the way Nugent Hopkins disappeared in the playoffs is just embarrassing.
I think they have to find a way to get a true 5-6 defense pairing, because that was clearly an area they got exposed with Desharnais this playoffs a lot. He wasn't ready. Broberg's still a little too young. I mean, they're kind of having to slowly take him along. I think they have to go out in free agency and find a cheap defenseman on the third pair that's going to cost them like $1.5 million and try to run with that. I don't know who's going to be there in free agency.
I would go even further. I think they need a number 4 right side defenseman to replace CC. I just don't think CC is the right answer unless he was playing really injured. But he had made some boneheaded. He was on the ice for a majority of the goals. He has been horrific.
Well, guys, let us know what you think, what you would do if you were an Oilers fan down here in the comments to change this team to give them a better chance next year. Or if you're a Knights fan, tell us what you liked most about this series. Till next time, though, take care, and we'll see you in our preview.
Take care. Bye.